Record low temperatures are closing local schools another day. In the extreme winter weather, the community is coming together to help provide warming stations. And in sports, the 17-1 Ohio women's basketball team is taking on rival Miami. We have a live preview of the game. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thank you for joining us. Several local schools are already closed tomorrow because of record low temperatures. Alexander, Athens, Beacon, Federal Hocking, Gallia County, Meigs, Morgan, Nelsonville, York, Oak Hill Union, Southern Local, Trimble, and Vinton County local schools canceled early this afternoon. With the winds, today feels like it's negative 15 degrees, and a wind chill advisory is in effect in Athens until 1 p.m. tomorrow. And with cold temperatures like that, several places around Athens are offering warming stations. Reporter Nick Mullins visited the locations to find out more.
Ben, I visited 3 places today offering an escape from the freezing temperatures: the Athens Community Center, the Stewart's Opera House, and the Plains Volunteer Fire Department. The Athens Community Center and the Plains Volunteer Fire Department are offering places to stay overnight if needed. Four cots and blankets were set up in the multi-purpose room at the community center, as sleeping bags and blankets were at the Plains Fire Department. Firefighters say they've been out and patrolling the community to make sure people aren't out in the cold with no place to go. And over at Stewart's, free Wi-Fi, board games, and hot chocolate were handed out to folks until 5 p.m. I talked to the ones in charge in each location, and here are their thoughts on the cold weather and how the community is coming together to help one another.
That people that need a place can find us, and I hope we're reaching them. But I also, my experience with this community is that people look out for each other and have probably helped other people make provisions in the event that they don't have heat or that they don't have a home.
Officials say if freezing conditions continue tomorrow, they will remain open as a place for people to go that is warm.
What is it going to be like the rest of the week? As we're looking at today in the forecast, with this cold weather, it is important to stay safe, especially when the wind chill is low, like how it is now. There are some tips to avoid not only getting a cold, but how to avoid hypothermia. It is only 5 degrees out right now, with humidity at 40% and the wind from 9 miles per hour coming from the west. Taking a look at the regional map, you see that the Athens is only at 5 degrees with New Lexington at 0, Columbus at 1, and as we get more southern, we see Ironton at 13 and Ripley at 11. For the rest of the week, we see that the snow moves in eventually, with it warming up towards the end of the week and showers moving into next week.
Thanks for that update, Mia. I understand we've got some tips from the city of Athens on how to stay warm. So when it comes to clothing, wearing several layers of loose-fitting, lightweight clothing rather than one layer of heavy clothing, and wearing a hat and changing wet clothes will also help maintain your body heat. Scarves are also important and can be worn over your mouth to protect your lungs.
With our low temps today, symptoms of hypothermia can begin after 15 minutes of being exposed. Uncontrollable shivering, memory loss, disorientation, incoherence, slurred speech, and drowsiness are some symptoms of hypothermia.
And if you or someone around you is experiencing these effects, get medical help as soon as possible. While waiting for help, go to a warm location, remove wet clothing, warm the center of the body first, and drink warm beverages. State employees who are victims of domestic violence will now receive more protection. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed an executive order today that will help expand the state's policy on workplace domestic violence. It requires all state agencies to post resources for survivors and issues stronger corrective actions like firing an employee who commits or threatens domestic violence on state property. Governor DeWine, along with leaders of his effort to fight opioid abuse in the state, are meeting with local advocates to share ideas. Yesterday, DeWine held a session in Columbus, starting it off with a warning that results will not be immediate. DeWine told yesterday's crowd, however, that the time is of the essence and that he and his team are in the process of developing a comprehensive plan to treat and prevent addiction and mental health problems. However, he is well aware that there is no one-size-fits-all solution.
It's a balance of culturally sensitive, locally driven, applicable to the local community, but at the same time, try to have something that is evidence-based.
DeWine's plan begins with prevention in schools. He says he wants some form of age-appropriate opioid prevention to be taught in all schools every year, including kindergarten. 11 people are being charged in a plot to smuggle synthetic drugs into federal prisons. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Cleveland says the defendants are accused on soaking papers in drugs and disguising them as mail. The charges allege prisoners sold the papers to other inmates. The indictment says the defendants used the Bureau of Prisons payment system and wire transfers to collect the money. A new report shows Kentucky has more than 300,000 people who cannot vote because of a felony conviction. That's higher than both Ohio and West Virginia and is a 67% increase from 2006. Kentucky is one of 3 states that impose lifelong voting bans on people with felony convictions. Right now, there's a proposed amendment to the state's constitution that would change that, and if lawmakers approve the proposal, it would be put on the ballot in 2020. An Ohio man has been indicted in connection to a planned attack on a synagogue in Toledo. 21-year-old Damon Joseph faces charges of attempting to provide support to ISIS and attempting to commit a violent hate crime. Joseph was arrested in December. His arrest followed a months-long investigation in which FBI agents posed as members of ISIS. $10,000 in books is coming to West Virginia. Read Aloud West Virginia was chosen as one of 10 groups to receive the books from Scholastic. They're a group that works to help children with their reading skills in underserved communities. Read Aloud was chosen from more than 1,000 nominated programs across the country. A new bipartisan committee is meeting today to try to prevent another shutdown. And what one driver thought was a large pothole was really something entirely different. Those stories when Newswatch returns.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, through stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
A bipartisan committee met for the first time today and is working to avoid another government shutdown. The panel will need to negotiate a plan that not only can pass both chambers of Congress, but also receive the backing of President Trump. Karen Kafa has the latest from Washington.
A bipartisan group of negotiators from the House and Senate sitting down for the first time.
And I hope that by reaching a compromise here, we will set a tone of bipartisanship.
Their task, a border security deal. The deadline, February 15th, when a stopgap government funding measure expires. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi leaving them to their work.
I think the conference can reach a good result, left to its own devices without any interference from anybody else.
But President Trump tweeting, if the committee of Republicans and Democrats now meeting on border security is not discussing or contemplating a wall or physical barrier, they are wasting their time. Democrats want a conversation less about a wall, more about things like technology and ports of entry.
Along with my Democratic colleagues, I'm ready to work in good faith to write a Department of Homeland Security bill that funds smart, effective border security.
If and when the committee reaches a compromise, that bill needs to pass the House and the Senate and get President Trump's signature to avert another shutdown. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have been floating proposals to prevent more shutdowns down the line.
After going through this 35-day shutdown, it was so painful. We don't want to do this again. And there are different ways to get at it.
The shutdown that ended last Friday was the longest in U.S. history. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
According to reporting by the New York Times, the shutdown cost the economy about $11 billion. But the shutdown had more than just financial costs. One former park official says each of those 35 days was worth almost a decade at national parks. According to Kurt Sauer, a former ranger at Joshua Tree National Park, people continued to use the park even when rangers were furloughed. This included people camping illegally, setting improper fires, and driving places not intended for traffic. Sauer says it will take up to 300 years for the park to recover. President Trump's policy on transgender military members is not in effect yet, even though the Supreme Court cleared the way last week. The ban is on hold because of an injunction issued by a federal judge in Maryland. The Supreme Court's decision last week allowed the ban to go into effect while appeals play out in lower courts. The injunction comes as part of a legal case involving 14 plaintiffs. Venezuelans are leaving their homes and workplaces in a walkout to demand that President Nicolas Maduro give up his power. Demonstrations began on the streets of Venezuela's capital, Caracas, around noon today, with citizens waving flags, honking their car horns, and chanting phrases like "free elections." These protests come as Maduro's opponent, Juan Guaido, calls for mass demonstrations to oust Maduro. 2 journalists from Chile were arrested in Venezuela last night. The journalists were working for Chile's national TV station and were reporting on an event by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro when they were arrested, according to their network's website. Chile's Interior Minister Andres Chadwick said today that the Chilean government is working on their release. Police in Florida discovered what appears to be a secret tunnel, and it might lead to a nearby bank. It happened this morning when officers arrived to the scene where a car hit a large pothole. After further investigation, the officers determined that it wasn't just a hole in the road. The pothole is actually a tunnel about 2 feet in diameter and 50 yards long and appears to go in the direction of a nearby bank. Police say they found a generator, some boots, and a bucket inside.
Hello everyone, I'm Nick Christine. In sports, the Ohio men's basketball team fell to Northern Illinois last night. Plus, a live look inside the Convocation Center with Thomas Garbrick ahead of the Battle of the Bricks matchup between Ohio and Miami. That and more still ahead.
If you think that it's cold out now, just wait for the rest of the week when it starts to get warm, as we see high pressures moving out of Ohio, and you'll see more with the forecast coming up. Here's a look at the stocks.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at woub.org. And thank you.
Well, if you love TVC basketball action as much as we do, well then we got the show for you, Hardwood Heroes. Come along with us as we will be breaking down all the action every week. It airs Sundays at 11 p.m. and again Mondays at 6 p.m. But remember, our coverage isn't just limited to the show. We have content being posted all week long on our Twitter, Facebook, and even Snapchat. We will also have written recaps posted on our webpage and video recaps on our YouTube channel. So check those out as well. And always remember to be heroic.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Welcome back to Newswatch. We're live from the Convo, and as you see behind me, we are just minutes away from tip-off for the Ohio women's basketball team as rival Miami is in town for the team's first meeting of the Battle of the Bricks this season. And if you remember, Miami actually defeated Ohio in all three of the team's meetings last year, and the Redhawks actually ended Ohio's season in the quarterfinals of the MAC tournament 69-66. But despite being 17-1 and in first place, Ohio comes in limping to this game. They played last place Bowling Green over the weekend, and Ohio won just 82-79 after nearly squandering a 21-point lead. Ohio was without their third leading scorer, sophomore forward Gabby Burris. I'm being told that she's gone through pregame warmups, and she's going to try and give this one a go. Could be a big boost for the Bobcats in this one, but for sure Ohio will have MAC East Player of the Week. Erica Johnson and she and Ohio are ready to roll tonight.
It's personal. We lost to them way too many times last year, and we're not going to let it happen again. They have a huge height advantage. We know we're small, so it's just a matter of pushing back. Not always the tallest people get the rebounds. It's the one who goes after it, so we just have to box out, push back, and come up with the ball collectively. It's not just one person's job, it's collective.
And while height was the difference in 2018 for Miami, we'll see if that holds true in 2019. Reporting live for Newswatch from the Convo, I'm Thomas Garvert. Back to Nick in the studio.
All right, thanks, Thomas. Should be a good one in the Convo tonight. Enjoy that game. And despite 15 points from redshirt sophomore Jason Carter, the Ohio men's team was unable to overcome Northern Illinois' last-second run, losing 71-60 in DeKalb. NIU opened the game on a 6-0 run, but Jason Carter finished the game with 15 points. Tavion Kirk had 10 points, and senior forward Gavin Block finished with 8 points. The game was actually tied at half, and the Bobcats even had the lead 48-47 with 7:51 left to go in the game, but the Huskies proceeded to go on a 10-1 run and never looked back. Overall, Ohio just shot 36% from the field. The Bobcats return to the Convo this Saturday for a 3:30 tip against the Akron Zips. Sticking to the hardwood, 3 teams in Hardwood Heroes coverage was in action last night. The Meigs Marauders took down Point Pleasant 82-44. The Eastern Eagles narrowly escaped South Galley with a 56-54 victory, and the Waterford Wildcats beat Wahama 44-27. No games tonight, but remember, you can find the latest news about TVC basketball on our website, woub.org. Can you believe it? 2 wins in a row for the Cleveland Cavaliers? It was a lot closer than it should have been. The Cavs almost surrendered a 25-point lead in the fourth, but held on for the 116-113 victory over the Washington Wizards. Jordan Clarkson scored 28 points, and Jetty Osman had 26 points. This is only the second time the Cavaliers have won back-to-back games this season. Now, prior to beating the Bulls on Sunday, the Cavaliers had lost 18 of 19 before beating Chicago. Cleveland goes for 3 in a row this Saturday when they host the Dallas Mavericks. We are just 4 days away from Super Bowl 53 between the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. This is the 3rd straight appearance for the Patriots and the Rams first since 2001. The combination of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are making their 9th appearance in the Super Bowl since they started 18 years ago. And as of now, the Patriots are the favorite to win with a 2.5-point edge. All right, Ben, just 4 days away from the biggest game in football. I have been a Rams fan since I was 6 years old. I will be going down to Atlanta for the game. I am taking the Rams 31-21.
Yeah, well, you know, Nick, personally, I'm far from a Rams fan, but I got to say I'll definitely be rooting for them on Sunday. It'll be a good change in pace for the NFL.
Absolutely.
All of the footballs used in Sunday's big game are coming from the same place, the Wilson factory south of Toledo. Tyler Paley has a look inside of the factory and the making process for the balls in the championship game.
Welcome to Ada, Ohio, population 6,000. Drive through a neighborhood about 10 miles from Interstate 75, and you'll land right here, the Wilson Sporting Goods Factory.
This is a special time of year.
Every Wilson football is built from scratch, by hand, right here. The ones you buy in the store, the balls at your kids' Pop Warner games. And those you'll see Tom Brady and Jared Goff holding in Atlanta on Sunday.
It's just great, just knowing I've had a hand on that ball that's going to that, you know, the game, the big game.
The big game being Super Bowl 53. 216 balls are built specifically for the championship each year, 108 given to each team. Each ball is cut, stamped, sewn, turned, laced, inflated, molded, and quality checked before being shipped off. It's hard, nitty-gritty work, but in this case, employees say the end most certainly justifies the means.
You take pride in what you do. Everyone in here takes pride in their jobs.
I kind of wonder if that's one of the ones I've sewn, and it's kind of humbling.
Today, that might be the ball I may help make.
Every last Super Bowl game ball has been manufactured here in Ada since 1941.
To see a game ball on the field just makes you so proud, the passion that we use here, right? Just everything that goes into it, and I know that we built that football.
A lot of times when I'm watching the game, I'm watching them to see if they zoom in on the ball.
So while Ohio might not have a team to cheer on this year, there's still a rooting interest.
We know there's going to be a winner, and we know there's going to be a loser.
And you know they're going to use your football.
Correct.
According to Wilson's website, more than 700,000 footballs are made in Ada each year. Bitter cold weather hit the area today, and snow may be in the forecast this weekend. Plus, a dramatic rescue after one man fell into a frozen lake trying to save his dog. All that coming up, but first stay tuned to WOUB, and here's a look at the schedule for tonight.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at woub.org. And thank you.
A cold Arctic outbreak is hitting Chicago. There's a threat of hypothermia for people and pets, but even trains are being affected by the freezing temperatures. Rail tracks in Chicago were set on fire to keep them running. The National Weather Service forecasted dangerously cold wind chills in Chicago as low as 60 degrees below zero.
Welcome back to Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Mia White, and it's only 5 degrees outside right now, so make sure that you are bundled up as the winds are 9 miles per hour from the west and with pressure from 30.37 inches. Taking a look at the regional map, again we see Athens only at 5 degrees, New Lexington at 0, Columbus at 1, and Newark at -1. As we get more south, we see Ironton at 13 and Ripley at 11, but still pretty cold out. Looking at the hour by hour, we see that there are clear skies all of tonight, only 4 degrees at 8 o'clock, 3 degrees at 10 p.m., and at 12 a.m. it'll be 3 degrees, but it'll feel like -8, so try to stay in if you can. Tonight, it'll be 0 degrees, and even though the skies will be clear, it will definitely be cold with winds west 10 to 15 miles per hour. Taking a look at the regional map tonight, again, Athens at 0, and the temperatures are dropping more and more as we see New Lexington, Newark, and Columbus at -2. We also have Chillicothe at -1, Cambridge at -1, and Ironton and Ripley at 2. So pretty cold out there. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. it's only going to be 1 degree, and even though the sun will be out, you should definitely stay in if you can. At 10 a.m. it'll only rise 5 degrees at 6 degrees with clear skies, and at 12 p.m. it'll only be 11. So stay in if you can. If not, make sure you are bundled up a little extra tomorrow. Tomorrow the high is only 20 degrees, partly cloudy, warming up a little bit compared to today, but still the winds will be 5 to 10 miles per hour west to southwest. Looking at tomorrow's highs, we see Athens at 20 degrees and a little cooler up top in the north at 16 degrees in New Lexington, Newark, and Columbus. As we get more southern though, we see Ironton at 25 and Ripley at 24. Taking a look at the precipcast, we see that there is a cold front down here moving in and up. Looking at this, we see that there is a high pressure system moving out of Ohio and a warm front moving in, bringing the snow and the clouds with it. So looking at Friday, we can expect about 2 to 4 inches of snow from Thursday night going into Friday because of that low pressure system. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, we see that Thursday it'll be 20 degrees, Friday 32, and as we move in toward the weekend, it warms up into the 43 and 53, and for the rest of the week it should be raining, but warmer for sure. So have a good week. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you for the update, Mia. A dramatic rescue caught on police body cams. Chicago cops rescued a man from Icy Lake, Michigan by forming a human chain. An eyewitness called 911 after the man went into the 34-degree weather to save his dog. The animal made it out, but the man became trapped. One officer used the dog's leash as a rope to reach out to the man. 5 more cops then formed a human chain by grabbing onto each other's legs. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Schwartz. Have a great night. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next, and know that you can always find your latest news anytime at WOUB.org.